It won't be a problem after we get going. You're like the kid in high school that doesn't exactly worry about getting into college, and then all of a sudden it's right there on your doorstep, and you're like, wait a second. What am I supposed to do now when you don't have enough points to qualify for Worlds, which is ultimately the goal for pretty much everybody? You want to be the best.
Yep, exactly what I asked myself in college.
All right, fair enough. Going into game number 3, we're into the picks and bans, though. It's Zed and Shen banned away again by Team Liquid. They really hate these two ninjas.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping them off the table, out of the hands of Dignitas. Varus and Maokai going to be banned away by Dig. They're like, hey, when Lorlo doesn't get to play Maokai, we win games. Let's do it again.
Yeah, take away that big beefy tank from Lorlo in the top lane. It's the guaranteed CC. It's the annoying peel. It's the passable lane phase as well, where he can actually do pretty decently in a lot of matchups. It doesn't have that same consistency, or like Poppy doesn't have the same consistency as a Maokai.
I like how you were using these very vivid, very positive adjectives for describing the Maokai, and then we get to his laning, it's like, and it's passable.
It is passable. Like, that's one of the reasons you'll take the tanks is, oh, you know, I'll go down in the laning phase, and you know, it's okay, but it's for the team fight, right? I'll be down 100 CS, just like Lorlo was last game. But Maokai is actually, he has a lot of wave shove. He has a way to gank the lane and have people help him out, gank assistance and gank and roam. So I think that that's a big strength in Maokai and why it's so damn popular and picked up so frequently too.
The final bans for each team in phase number 1 are actually going to be the mid laners played by the other side in game number 2. No LeBlanc for Golden Glue. This will be the first game in the series he hasn't been allowed to play it. And Keen will be kept off the Jace. When you get 1v2'd for first blood, you don't want to play against the same thing for a second game in a row. Team Liquid going to be locking in Rengar first and foremost. Dignitas says, you want to pick one of the Unholy Trinity? We'll do the same thing, grabbing that Camille for themselves.
The Camille picked up for Someday again. This is actually, I believe, his 3rd game in a row of Camille. So he's gotten it every single time. The Jace was banned away from TL in game 1 by TL, so they had banned Zed, Malzahar, Jace. Now it's Zed, Shen, and Jace, because the Malzahar was not picked up in the last game, so they dropped the priority on it and actually put it on Shen instead, so Someday doesn't pick that up. But he went for the Camille anyway, like you said.
Also going to be grabbing the Jhin on the side of Dignitas, so that's going to be 3 out of 3 games played on Jhin for LoD. We saw it fail pretty big in game number 1, and we saw it succeed pretty spectacularly in game number 2. So kind of all over the place in the performance of that with this series so far, but we saw last game when LoD is working with Xpecial, he can make those combos happen. We saw him get a lot of good deadly flourishes from long range, so he was able to further help his team find picks and find setups. We'll have to see if he can repeat that performance here in game number 3 as Liquid decides they're going to be putting the Poppy in the hands of Lorlo yet again, and Golden Glue's going to be on Rise.
Yep, and they're picking their solo laners really early on here so that they end up not caring too much about the pinch on the AD carry position. And I do assume it's Cassiopeia, the common counter to Rise. Yep, locked in there.
Every time you see the Rise, the Cassio is always sure to follow.
Or else it's banned out in the second phase. You don't want that to pass through. And now, Dignitas, pinch support, pick support, I think should be the way that they go here. Okay, yep.
Misfortune.
Would consider that a support here.
Could also be an AD carry, so you effectively get double the value out of it by banning it away from Team Liquid.
That's a good point.
Graves going to be banned by Team Liquid, realizing that the enemy team still has a jungler to go for, realizing that Graves is real deadly with that lethality and wanting to remove him from the pool of possibility. One more for each team. Do you continue to target the same stuff or do you mix it up a little bit? That is what we'll see.
I think if you're Dig, you still ban another support, and then if you're Liquid, you think about jungle or support depending on what's banned here. Yes, the Karma out of the way.
Karma.
You could ban Zyra, force them to pick something like Malzahar. They would pick Nami as well on the table.
Zyra has won both games that she's been in this series so far, and she's been instrumental in both games. It hasn't just been a, oh, they picked Zyra and I guess everybody else carried and Zyra was just there. Zyra did a lot in both of these matches, so with her being removed from the picking pool, it'll be interesting to see what the teams decide to do instead to make up for that.
Yeah, you can see heavy deliberation there between Dignitas. Looks like Malzahar is what they might want here in terms of tier list, just dropping down it. I would assume that.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Locked in on Dignitas' side. Xpecial going to be piloting that one this time around. Piglet saying last game was a little bit rougher, but game number 1 was a hard enough carry that we're willing to go for the Caitlyn again.
Bam,
and Lulu picked up instantly as the support for Matt.
Yep, I know that Matt was one of the first people playing the Lulu as a counter to the Malzahar, but we've actually seen this bottom lane die to Malzahar very early on a few times, and it's been the big struggle here. This bottom lane so inconsistent. They'll have those great games, and then they'll have those ones where they are invisible. They don't really do anything. And this one here, they have a good lane matchup for themselves. A little bit of a counter, but also Piglet now has some protection as that last pick Elise comes through.
Yep, Chaser going to get to be on the Elise this time. It was banned away from him in game number 2. We'll have to see if that ban was a worthy ban. Now that he gets to play it in game number 3, see if he can step up on the Elise and make those plays happen. A lot of different ways to catch people out on the side of Dignitas. You got Cocoons, you've got Malzahar ultimates, you've got Deadly Flourishes, you've got Miasmas, you've got Hextech ultimatums. A lot of different ways for bad positioning to be punished if Liquid's not aware of where they are and where their opponents are.
Exactly, ways to stop them from getting away, but also ways to lock them up and make sure that you can get those picks. So Dignitas, a lot of single target pick. Also, they have the ability to dive and get into that back line, and this becomes a big deal for TL. They have to deal with Someday if he's diving or splitting, and then they also have to deal with the high damage of Keen, while also considering a lot of big threat too. And TL on the other side, pretty standard across the board in terms of tank composition with a high DPS mid lane mage, long range for Piglet, and then Rengar for Reignover again.
A lot of peel potential. Honestly, there's a lot of different things you could do with the Lulu in this comp too. I mean, Wild Growth can either be used, if Piglet's fed, protect the Piglet, keep him alive. If you've got either Reignover or Golden Glue fed, make them big when they go in there. Make them that much harder to kill. So plenty of versatility with how this might end up going down depending on who Matt feels he needs to prioritize.
Yep, who gets fed in this game. And like we said, this one's for all the marbles here between TL and Dig. Game 3 right now. And right now, 8th and 9th place. We've said it a few times. It's going to be the last time I'm saying it right now because one of these teams is going to start moving up the standings.
And for both of them, that is the dream as Matt zooms his way down towards the bottom lane with his Star Guardian sound effects whooshing throughout Summoner's Rift. Again, a very unexciting level 1.
Yep. And so as we back out of the game for a second and just talk about where these teams, the expectations were for them, TL was coming in with Lorlo performing well week 1. They picked up Reignover, high-level acquisition, one of the most sought-after Western players. And then they had Piglet and Matt reuniting the bottom lane. There were high hopes for TL coming into this, and now they're sitting at the bottom of the standings. But the same story sits for Dignitas too. They have Someday, world-class top laner.
Right.
And right now, you know, we've talked about his backpack. Maybe it can't hold enough for Dignitas to jump in there, but it's not that type of story. Keen's actually stepping up. We're seeing Special make a lot of picks. It's just getting on the same page is so critical for professional League of Legends. You can't just sit there and expect one person to carry you. Everybody has to contribute. So Dignitas, a lot of people power rank them top 3, sitting in bottom 3 right now. And they're trying to change that against TL, who are in the same boat.
Both teams with such similar stories. Now the bottom lane from Dignitas moving up to the enemy red buff. This is the cool thing that you can do with Malzahar support because those crabs are so very effective at taking the buff.
Oh, Piglet.
The crabs tank it away. Piglet's looking to come in and stop these guys if he can. The red buff does get taken by Lod, but now he's exhausted, in a lot of trouble. Heal going to be used flash too. Piglet flashes after them, looking to make this happen. First blood. He's going to be grabbing the red buff too. Special still chasing these guys down. Piglet will drop. Keen's now got the red. Everybody's taking a turn as Matt's going to be going down as well. A double kill for the Dignitas mid laner.
Keen again. What is Golden Glue doing? He's getting shoved out of the lane.
And he got 4 extra CS, man. What are you talking about?
But, like, Keen's still level 1. It's not like the Cassiopeia is going to just dumpster you in lane that early on to the point that you can't get there. That was super surprising. Now his lane is over. He's already in a counter matchup. He's going to need help.
A lot of help. But we'll have to see if that ends up coming. Reignover's taking that bottom side of the map. Scuttle Crab. Lod's hanging out on the blast cone in case the fight ends up actually going down here. Chaser going to find just an ever so slight amount of damage there. Keen backing himself away. Of course, what you were talking about, he does have the level disadvantage. Golden Glue had the shoving edge, so Keen wasn't really able to use that edge right now. Here's that level 1 Fiesta.
Yeah, so many Malzahar Voidlings. It's great that they go for the strategy, but it was warded. And now Keen zoning out Rise. They flash over, and then Rise actually just returns to mid lane. I don't know if he thinks they're just going to get out. They flashed in. Keen didn't walk back. And Golden was like, it's over. I can't do anything about that. He's too far away. He was zoned by the level 1 Cassiopeia. And then Matt dies too. And it's just ooh.
Golden Glue gets his level, but that is about it. Not the best place to be. Yeah, I got the level 2, guys. Don't worry. See, 4 extra creeps.
That's the thing. It's a matter of perspective. If my goal was to be like the best caster in the world, it's like, all right, we got some work to do. If mine's to cast a game with Captain Flowers, mission accomplished.
We're here.
You know, we're here.
We made it.
I did it, dude. Go me. But still, it's about, you know, having the right goal as well. So looking at what Golden Glue was doing there, it just seemed like the rest of the team not on the same page. And Keen is definitely the person who picks up the best part of that. Getting a red buff early on, having 2 kills. And the bottom lane also not too much worse for wear because everybody's blowing summoner spells. It ends up being equal.
Yeah, all 4 summoner spells blown on Team Liquid. Now Piglet gonna get a lot of damage onto him from those visions and those crabs. All 4 summoner spells also gone on Dignitas, means these bottom laners might be a prime target for ganks should either jungler find an opportunity to work their way down there.
Yeah, and that's Jungle of Paradise, right? Looking at that bottom lane, you still have flashes up. Might be where you want to head next, but no, looks like they want to deal with the top lane. Rainover trying to charge it up, get a root.
Ooh, Someday getting caught by the Bolo, will not be slammed back in the wall. Lorlo and Rainover still looking to chase this one down. Chaser with the flash cocoon onto Rainover. Not going to be jumping in for that one. Someday gets taken very, very low, though.
Yep, Someday a little too far forward, but this is a gigantic wave. He'll have to TP back for this. And now Chaser. Good ward from Rainover. Make sure that nothing happens there. But yeah, Chaser blowing the flash, trying to save Someday / maybe get a counter kill, but he had already taken so much damage. And it's the double Doran's coming out again for Someday here, so gonna be
Someday
a little delayed on the Trinity.
Also going for tactical sweep levels first and foremost this time around. All about that healing when you're playing up against the Poppy, just keeping himself nice and topped off.
Yeah, he's put at least 3 points into it every game. One game he put 4 in there. So it's just about the trading pattern early, but it does delay him having the maxed Q and the maxed E to around, I believe, like level 15, level 14, instead of 13.
It'll only delay the Q max.
Would be 15 for both.
It'll only delay the Q max by 1 level, right?
Yes.
Because it's 10 instead of 9, but then the E is definitely later.
It'd be 15 at that point, 2 levels later.
Rainover, again, going to be controlling this bottom lane Scuttle Crab. Piglet and Matt with a 33 to 25 CS edge for themselves. Again, nothing compared to game number 1, but still not bad. That's what you expect to see from the Caitlyn with that long-range power, that lane control. Lod with a control ward in his inventory already.
Yeah, I mean, he got 2 assists, and Piglet already has a cull. I mean, mission accomplished as well for him if his goal was to get that first kill, gave him some gold, and then he was able to pick up a cull. So maybe he gets to the point where he's scaling a little bit more. We'll see. I think he got in there. I think he's in there like Swimwear.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's good.
Oh, but so is Rainover.
This could be interesting.
What? Ah, one of his 8 spider legs just popped out of the bush.
Rip! The setup that was never meant to be. They try to make it happen, but even if it would have, like you said, Rainover was waiting. We would have had a full-on 3 versus 3. Kind of would have liked to see it, though, with the bloodbath that level 1 was. I could have gone with a level 4 bloodbath to back it up.
I do think, though, if you're both these teams, you're kind of on edge. You both have won a game. Not in, like, the cleanest of ways for losing, because give up early kills, and the early kills have made the difference in both of these games.
True.
Whether it was the ones to Keen or the ones to Piglet. Now they both have kills. So now, figure out what your next plan is, what your next step is. Can you sit back and say, okay, we'll scale? I actually think Dignitas are okay with that, with having the Camille and the Cassiopeia with 2 kills. They're okay to kind of sit on their hands a little bit and not have to be as proactive.
Skirmisher's Saber versus Tracker's Knife between these junglers. A little bit of a difference in playstyle coming out as Chaser's going to be looking to keep those wards down, get a little bit of extra vision around the map, while Rainover is saying, I'm not losing a fight.
Yep. Bottom lane, Turret taking so much damage here, looking for Xpecial.
Rainover jumping in, Xpecial still got his shield though. Turret almost going to be dropped. One more auto attack does it. Golden Glue comes in just to say, hey guys, I helped. And Turret first blood goes the way of Liquid.
Yep, Liquid were already pushing in that bottom lane with the counter matchup. And Keen will pick up that blue buff and be able to actually have that mono regen for himself, so good. the Cassiopeia, but now the bottom side of the map is open, and now their TL just going to go back down bottom and farm. I think they head top. I think you head top Areno and start shoving that one in.
I mean, that's the name of the game, right? You got a Caitlyn on your team, you take down one turret, you just rotate her around the map and share the love.
Yep.
Plus, Zyrene, check this out in the top left part of your screen. My favorite Drake. He's finally showing up. Game number 3.
Rearing his ugly head. But they don't have the bottom
man,
turret,
he's
so
beautiful.
Keen
That is
will
the
actually
best-looking Drake.
throw himself at this. And I think that this is really good. He has the blue buff. Lots of fangs coming through.
Melting that health away pretty rapidly. A little bit more damage will seal the deal. And
What?
I don't know about that one, Zyrene. Keen having to run away now. Petrifying Gaze going to be blocking the way away.
No minions.
Repel's not going to be getting Chaser anywhere. Piglet grabbing the kill, tying this game up 2-2. Dignitas got their objective, though. Xpecial now in some trouble. Might be brought down. Getting himself away ever so barely. Beautiful job. But Golden Glue says, nope, sayonara. Grabs the kill anyway. Team Liquid grabs 2 for 0, but they lose the Drake.
The blast cone comes up right then afterwards. Oh, that's
a tilter.
That was really big for TL, though. Dignitas, sure, they got the Infernal Drake, but that was really well played. Matt could have used the blast cone next to him instead of having to flash over the wall. A little bit of a difference there, but goes over, and then they were having the TP flank from Lorlo, whereas someday, just focus on that top turret. Focus on opening up the map a little bit. Not going to get it yet, though.
74 CS to 54 CS, as well as a 2-kill lead for Piglet, off the kind of start that he'd like to be seeing himself off to. Not that game 2 type of a slump. That's the word I'm looking for. Not that kind of a slump that he was in there compared to game number 1. Here's Chaser's attempted escape. It goes nowhere.
Yep, doesn't have anything to repel to. Xpecial not level 6 yet, or else we would have locked up Piglet there. He's literally like a creep or 2 away. If he had level 6, he ulties Piglet there, and then Chaser comes down and does a combo and deals damage, and then they kill him.
Right. The Thunderlords, the Elise combo that includes Thunderlords plus the Malzahar damage would have easily taken Piglet down there, but sadly 1 or 2 creeps can sometimes make the difference. It's kind of what we were talking about in game number 1. You take the extra chicken and you never know what that could end up meaning later. Well, right there, it meant Piglet grabbing a kill instead of a death, and Team Liquid is more than happy about that one. A 1,500 gold lead now in their pockets. Serrated Dirk and 2 long swords built for Lob means he's closing in on that Ghost Blade. Piglet still working towards Infinity Edge. Rainover popping the ulti.
Looking for the Fed member. He doesn't want to walk by the turret.
Lorlo doing a good job waiting for that slam into the wall. Well coordinated, well executed from Liquid.
Yeah, Keen, he had to walk that way at some point, so he was going to be in Lorlo's range, and then Lorlo just hits him with the E. No way to outplay it there from Keen. No cleanse, no flash. Does have the ultimate. Unsure if that was completely up, but it looked like it was.
Rainover still hanging around in enemy territory, seeing if you can grab anything if Chaser sticks around a little bit too long. Liquid doing what they want to do, putting some damage into this mid lane turret, like we already mentioned. Rotating the Caitlyn around, utilizing the siege power of that champion after you've cleared away the bottom lane turret. You put her everywhere else, make it so she's allowed to utilize that strength around the map and build yourself up that early objective lead and map control lead, because as those turrets fall, you control more of the map. Your opponents are a little bit more fearful about walking out past their standing turret line. It allows you to just further your game plan that much earlier.
Yeah. And I thought they were going to put the Caitlyn up top a little bit earlier, but what they ended up doing is they ended up going for that dragon fight, and that ended up being a big fight for TL with the flank from Lorlo coming through. So it looked like it was a bad fight for TL at the start with the way they were approaching it, but because everybody had been already communicated the idea of this is our fight, we're taking it, everybody showed up at the right time, and Someday didn't TP into that one, and now he doesn't even have a TP advantage for much longer here. Someday has not been TPing there, and that may have been the difference.
Someday sitting on another CS advantage here in game number 3, so game number 1 was just the one that didn't work out too well for him. Doing pretty good in these tank matchups. Otherwise, closing in on that Trinity Force power spike. Once he has that one, we've already discussed exactly what that means for a Camille and how much damage she'll be able to do in these fights. Just got to hope he can lock down some of those value targets. Plenty of good people to be looking for, but the one thing you've got to remember, those wild growths.
Yep, got to watch out for the Lulu actually just buffing somebody up, giving the knockup as well, and stopping you from killing them. And touching back on Someday, yeah, he has that CS advantage because he stayed in top lane, but his TP actually had about 20 seconds left on it before he could use it in the previous fight. So it's not Someday's fault, it's the team's fault for going for that Drake when he isn't able to actually run all the way down. He could have run down for it and walked there. So they just didn't seem to have the complete right idea, and Keen thought that maybe they'd be able to take the Drake, which they did, without the assistance.
Well, they're going to have another shot at it here in about 80 seconds or so, because Infernal number 2 will be spawning around then, and you know these teams are not going to be wanting to give that one up without a fight. Dignitas with 1 Infernal already under their belts means that if they could stack that up, it would be 16% bonus damage, which is really, really nice. Well, not bonus damage, but bonus AP and AD, which contributes to your damage. Liquid with a 3,000 gold advantage, though, going to feel likely pretty comfortable contesting them for that one as they continue to shove up this mid wave. We're starting to see some of those items come online first and foremost. You've got your Hex Drinker plus your Warrior enchantment fully completed for Reignover, so he's going to be that much more resistant to magic as well as having that burst. And Rod of Age is done on Rise. Means he's starting to get towards where Rise wants to be in being both threatening and hard to kill.
They're looking for a pick on someone easy to kill.
Reignover might just be that, but the Wild Growth comes through. Matt doing a good job keeping him alive. Reignover can't return the favor. Deadly Flourish finds him. Petrifying Gaze not going to be landing the stun, but the damage continues to come in, and Keen ties up the game, grabbing that kill for himself. Going to be 3-1 on this Cassiopeia. Now Dignitas in a 5 versus 3 for the next 20 seconds. They're looking for the mid lane tier 1. They can look for the Infernal Drake afterwards, even if they don't get this. Great play.
Yeah, they need to get immediately on the Infernal Drake, though, because Reignover's death timer is exactly tuned up with the Infernal Drake. About a second difference there, though. So now they bring Someday down. He's walking, warding. Okay, so he's just going to make sure that Lorlo doesn't join and keeps the tank occupied as they try to do this. Rise may try to make a play here. Golden Glue, though.
I don't know what Golden Glue is going to do. 1 versus
There's the
4.
TP from Lorlo.
Chasers on the Infernal Drake. It is secured. Golden Glue going to be getting himself in a little bit too deep here. TP channeled from Someday, who wants to work his way into this fight, perhaps.
Canceled.
Has to cancel it because of the fact the rest of the team was too far away by the time it would have completed, and Dignitas again grabs himself a Drake.
2 Infernal Drakes on this composition that's going to have a Cassiopeia. 6 items because you don't buy boots. So if this gets late game, it's going to have a massive punch behind those Twin Fangs.
As Someday says, hey, the enemy team wanted to put so much effort into taking down that Drake. Why not take down their turret instead?
Yeah, it was a strange effort because that's kind of the setup that TL had last time too, where they're approaching the Drake. It's a little bit late. It's not the same type of TP flank either, but it doesn't look like a fight that TL can win. The first time, Dignitas actually got the better of, or TL got the better of it because Dignitas didn't have Someday there. And
kaboom.
Just had to delay it, make it even worse.
Heartbreaker, man.
Yeah. Oh, but also, like, the Rengar change, for a lot of people who just read the patch notes where it says remove the 1.5 seconds of CC immunity, he still removes CC with his empowered battle roar.
It's still
just
cleanse.
Exactly. He's just not immune to the following CCs. So uses it there to get out of the Cassiopeia ultimate slow, and then able to just kind of walk away a bit, but still gets gunned down.
It's like an Alistar ult now instead of an Olaf ult, where
Yes.
you can remove the CC, but you're not just going to be running around being like, eh, what are you guys going to do?
Yeah, it's a QSS.
Right. Reignover and the rest of Team Liquid, though, they're still ahead in gold, but they've been yielding these objectives in a way that they really don't want to be. And I'm pretty happy about the way this game is playing out so far, because this has been the closest to the game so far. And when you go to 3 games, you always want to see the closest one be the third one. Like, that is the best way for the series to play out. And so far, that's what we're getting here in game number 3. Liquid looking to make some kind of a move onto Someday. Bola finds him, but it's not going to do a lot. Neither will that Glitter Lance. A lot of those Liquid boys up here in the top lane, though. Looking to make something happen. Hextech ultimatum. Someday with the flash away, trying to get himself out as well, but I don't know what it's going to be. He somehow gets out. The hook shot and the mobility of Camille. Reignover is not willing to allow him to get all the way away, though. Wants to chase him down, but he's got to be careful. If Reignover goes into that alone, he'll likely just lose the 1v1 and get destroyed. So he lets Someday back, and Someday somehow gets away from that. But Team Liquid loses their bottom lane tier 2.
Yeah, they're going to try to get this top one and equalize it back up. But yeah, Someday with a good escape there. Only 1 rank into his E. He had used it to get back to the turret and then had to clear out the ward, but bought his time. Hextech ultimatum to avoid, go kind of use it like a dash.
Use it like a Fizz E.
Yeah.
Almost.
A Playful Trickster goes through, flashes away to immediately cancel the effect. But then, yes, the Camille E will actually get you to fly away and hook onto things. We talked about it with Roots previously. Also works against Poppy Ultimate when you are in the air. Because kind of the order of things. If you get hit up before your E makes contact with a wall, then you'll fly to the wall even while knocked up. But if you fly to the wall or start flying to the wall and you get knocked up, then cancels the move.
It interrupts it. Right. Fair enough. Someday, utilizing his knowledge of those types of mechanics to get himself out safely in what looked like a certain death situation. That's why he's one of the best. We talked about Someday being a world-class top laner in a lot of people's minds. He's top 3 in the world going into this season. So stuff like that is exactly why he puts himself on those, why people put him on those lists, excuse me, and why he's such an impressive player to watch.
Yeah. And when I'm watching him like build this Camille too, of course Trinity Force first, it makes sense, but then the 4 points into W, so it even delayed his cube max until level 12. He just got it now. You're going to put 2 points into your ultimate at 11, and that'll even further delay his E max. And now start putting points in there, but it's going to be a long time, about level 17 until his E is maxed. But he's in it for the long haul.
4-4, games tied up with 1,500 gold separating the teams. But you've got to remember that even though Dig is down 1.5k, they've got 2 Infernal Drakes under their belt. That's going to be shoring up a lot of that.
Looking for Lorlo.
Lorlo getting himself caught out. Normally Poppy is not the target to go for the burst on, but this time around it's not going to be a problem. Matt trying to get himself away, dodges out away from the 3rd and 4th shot, but Dignitas find their pick. Keen not even remotely afraid of the Rengar that might potentially want to jump on him because he knows that is just going to be a dead Rengar if he does. And Dignitas with the 5 versus 4 advantage going to be looking for T1.
Yep, and Golden Glue was shoving top lane that entire time. Again, trying to find some CS, and so they lose the mid, and now it's pretty much even goal between Dig and TL, despite the early game going to TL after the first dragon.
190 CS on both of these mid laners, 190 CS on the Caitlyn as well. Jhin falling significantly far behind, down about 40. Same story being told for Lorlo compared to Someday there in the top lane. So some pretty big discrepancies between these guys, including one in the jungle.
Yeah, the jungle, about 50 CS difference. Granted, Krugs are worth 10 CS when you clear the whole thing. So he may be just clearing a little bit more there, but I also think Reignover has been picking up a little bit of that lane farm. But the big one is Piglet. Piglet a little bit behind as well in build because he had to go for a QSS. Just for the Malzahar and make sure that he doesn't get rooted up and suppressed. And that'll actually, like, because he has this advantage with CS, he actually kind of has to dip into his inventory. Like, Malzahar's kind of attacking his inventory, taking attacks on it right now. So despite Piglet being up about 1,500 gold, a lot of that gold is invested into the QSS, which does nothing against the Jhin.
Right, it alleviates some of the pressure from that gold advantage, and that's something really useful about Malzahar. That's one thing he brings to the table, while Liquid says maybe we want to look for Baron, but backs themselves away. That was an interesting attempt, because there was a ward from Dignitas in there, but it was disabled by the control ward. They decided to maybe try to go for it, but then realized they weren't doing enough damage very quickly, and they didn't really have anyone to tank it up, so they backed themselves out.
Digger looking like they want to do the Ocean Drake. They'll probably send Keen to do it by himself because they don't have a pushing top wave just yet. They'll start to push back with Golden Glue and Reignover have control of top side. So you actually can't send too many people to do this, or else they shut in your top, they possibly get Baron.
That was a very fast solo Drake take coming out from Keen, grabbing that for his team.
The Honey Fruit.
The Honey Fruit will get him right back up to tip-top shape.
Golden Glue.
Golden Glue.
They have to use the ultimate here, but here comes Lorlo, and there's the flash suppression.
Special goes for the flash to make sure there's no way to Realm Warp out of this one. Lod's got the killing spree. Good pickup coming out from Dig. That's going to be their 6th this game.
They're trying to engage here. Lorlo is in the back line.
Liquid's trying to make some kind of a fight, but Wild Growth is not going to be doing anything. Matt caught out. Curtain Call opened up. Piglet jumped on. Someday looking to find the damage. Hextech Ultimatum is issued. 4 dead on the side of Team Liquid. Dignitas has lost only their support, and Lorlo is running for his life. Someday chasing him down, finding the damage, not quite going to be getting the slows. Steadfast presence keeping him alive, and Someday just says, you know what, forget it, we're going for Baron.
Yeah, they want the Baron right now, but that actually was a lot of time purchased there. Golden Glue has rank 2 ultimate. Reignover and Golden Glue are coming back up here. Cassiopeia, though, just shreds this, so I don't think there is a chance that TL get here. Despite having all that up, it's not going to make a difference. 23 minutes into the game, they are not going to be waiting and dancing around it this time. Zyrene Dignitas grabs their objective off of an awesome fight. Yeah, Golden Glue just too far forward. This was something he should have done a long time ago. They were actually toying around with the idea of, you know, Dignitas is going to do Ocean Drake. We should actually do something. Rainover jumps in, gets silenced, but then also the ultimate from Matt comes through and instantly still ends up with a deleted Rainover, and Someday is doing his job. He's on the backline, flashes, R's, gets the second hit on the Precision Protocol and the true damage onto Piglet. And Lorlo still, I don't know why he's blowing flash there too. He's just trying to buy time so that maybe the rest of his team comes back up and that they can stop Baron from happening, but it's still Dignitas now in the driver's seat. They have Baron buff, they have 3 Drakes, 2 of which are Infernal. They have control of this game now with the Cassiopeia to boot.
Any metric you want to judge this game by. Drakes, Dignitas is winning. Turrets, Dignitas is winning. Kills, Dignitas is winning.
Number
Gold.
of T's and L's in your tri-code.
All right, if that's the metric we want to measure the game by, then Liquid is ahead. But by any other metric, Dignitas is the team that's got this one in their control right now. They've got a couple of tier 2s still left to take. Lorlo and Rainover finding an opportunity to take down Someday here potentially, but Someday showing what Camille can do, almost making that a 1-for-1, but they will trade the tier 2 for.
If he had actually used Hextech Ultimatum earlier and had it available, if he used it on Rainover, it does extra damage to the person that is inside of the Hextech Ultimatum, your main target. You do percent HP damage, so that may have been the difference there if he had used it earlier.
Dignitas will accept the trade for now, but the one bummer about that for these guys is even though Someday is going to be back up in time to allow them to continue to use the Baron buff, it's not going to be back up on their split pusher. So it's going to be a lot harder to mount a successful 4-1 split like they would otherwise want to.
Yep. Moving away from having the double teleports here in this game. So Golden Glue is kind of the split pusher for TL, but it hasn't been a very good strategy for them so far. It hasn't been executed appropriately. He can't really 1v1 anybody yet. And the other team is just doing a great job of collapsing, so Dignitas are stopping Golden Glue from pretty much contributing to the game.
And going back into our time machine and revisiting what we were saying before we even got into this series to start off with, Dignitas is a team that in week 4 was playing against Envy, and they won, and that was the game that would decide who was 10th and who was 9th.
Yep.
And then just earlier this week, they played against FlyQuest, one of the top teams, and beat them 2-0.
Second place at the time.
Yeah, and the question is, which Dig is going to show up today? Was the FlyQuest thing a fluke? Does Dig actually have this like awesome upward momentum? Are they going to start doing some real work? And right now in game number 3, they're looking like a team that might be able to start that climb up.
Yeah, so when Dignitas beat Envy, people went, all right, definitely not 10th.
Not
they beat
10th.
FlyQuest,
We got
maybe
something.
they're top. If they beat TL here, definitely not 9th.
Lorlo going to be bursted down. Wild Growth is on him, but again, he's just not tanky enough. You don't say that about Poppy every day. Piglet trying to outrun the bullets. Death will not be catching up to him today, but Matt's not going to be telling the same story. Special eats a cupcake, but it will not matter. Dignitas has some spiderlings here to help them try to burn down this turret. They've got that one. 6 turrets now. Dignitas with all the tier 2s down.
And you can see Camille Someday immediately taking advantage of what they have. Has the Tiamat, will start shoving in the mid lane here and making sure that they're able to actually push more waves, get more off of that, and that's how you increase how much you get off a play.
Chaser tanking the turret aggro for the time being. Doesn't really want to be there. Keen and Laud finding some decent damage onto this tier 3, but they got to be careful about it. No more Baron buff means the minions will evaporate rather quickly as the damage comes in. Someday almost able to grab that mid lane tier 3, but instead backs himself away, wants to play it safe. Ocean Dragon in 40 seconds is another objective for Dignitas to take.
Yep. And I was saying that's how you get the most off of that, but that ended up being something that hurt them because Someday wasn't there to deal damage to the top turret, but maybe it ended up giving them a little bit more in terms of lane priority. It's these small push and pulls where you retrospect it and you go, okay, you know what? Maybe Someday should have been top, or maybe they should have had another person mid. It's hard to call, but in these split-second decisions, you make it right, you end up winning it, and that's good that they focus Lorlo down there. They collapse on him. You can see it's the difference in the backline threat. Someday dives in, and everybody really just has to pay attention to him a bit. He's got CC. He's actually landing it, diving in, and preventing people as everybody's kiting back. And Lorlo's overreaching for the team composition he has, because Rengar wants to dive in. Lulu's going to help, but Caitlyn kind of wants to kite back, and here comes Keen.
Catch potential coming through. Nice Realm Warp from Golden Glue, getting Team Liquid away. Wild Growth cast onto Piglet. Not going to be accomplishing much at all. Laud blocking up that ace in the hole. Keep herself alive and finds the shot at the back end of it. to get the kill onto Rainover and Static Special going for the lockdown onto Golden Glue. Someday right into the fight. Hextech Ultimatum grabbing one. Lorlo's going to be the next one if he's not careful. Grabs the kill onto the Spider. Smashes him with the hammer and Someday cuts him to pieces. Double kill for the top laner of Dignitas. 1 for 4. That is a fight.
And that's going to be another Drake going over to Dignitas. If they want it, it looks like they have more in their eyes now. It's like, all right, you know what? Someday softened up that mid turret, and they're doing it again. Top wave already shoving. Mid wave, they're going to push it in, try to finish off this turret, and Someday already bottom to push out this wave.
Dignitas, they grabbed Baron at 23 minutes. They're grabbing mid lane Inhibitor at 29. Baron going to be respawning here in about 1 minute. Drake is up and running, and since he was delayed, by the way, since it's 29 minutes, anytime after 29 minutes, the next Drake is going to be Elder after the current one dies. So this will be the last elemental spawning here in game number 3. Here's a look at how it all went down.
Yep, after the Realm Warp to get them all out, Rainover went in. No kill there for him. Almost got 2, but it's still not enough. And then the Lorlo interruption. But Someday is now there, and Someday deals a massive amount of damage. Piglet wants to turn this around. Nope, gets hit, has to QSS, flash away, but Someday follows immediately with a flash and a kick to the face. And picks up the double kill with the tactical sweep.
Awesome job. 3-1-3 here on the Camille. Going to be going with Titanic Hydra this game instead of the Ravenous. So
back and forth.
Expecting to take a little bit more damage in the team fights. Wants to make sure he doesn't go down too quickly. And Lorlo's Poppy, just the story that we've been seeing with this pick throughout this game is normally you pick Poppy to be this massive wall in fights, this huge disruptor, but every time he goes in, he's just getting deleted. And you can see what's happening over time is Dignitas has just taken over. The graph stays relatively in Liquid's favor for a good while, but as soon as that Baron happens, that 23-minute point, that's the switch from blue to red.
Yeah, and I like that extra ghost graph in there. It's like, This is what could have been. That's just the big...
The alternate timeline graph.
Yeah, Dignitas just looked like a gigantic swing in the game for them, and absolutely was. Rainover, ultimates popped. Someday off on the left side, 2 levels up, though.
Someday's not concerned about fighting Rainover 1v1 right now. They would have to bring way more than just that cat to deal with him. 278 farm. 3-1-3 overall. 5-1-5 on the Casio. 5-1-8 on the Jhin. Everybody doing a great job so far on Dignitas. Team Liquid, they've got the 3 items on the Caitlyn. They've got the QSS as well that she's had for a long time. So Caitlyn's at the point now where she can, do decent damage in these fights. But the problem is Camille's starting to get tanky, and that is a problem when you don't have any armor penetration yet. Dignitas now going to be melting this Baron down very rapidly. They've already got it. Someday right into the fight. Piglet is going to be ulted, but not saved. Matt's going to be going down next. Maybe just a little bit later. They've got 3 kills. Rainover's done too.
That's it.
One more onto Matt. Chaser looking for that spider bite if he can grab it. Deadly Flourish going to be sidestepped. Cocoon's going to miss 2. Matt's just buying all the time his little legs can get him, but I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference here. Someday 1v1 against Lorlo, not too worried about it. Chaser still living up to his name and chasing all the way. Matt trying to escape. Repel comes up and over. It was a noble attempt, little Lulu, but it's not going to do anything at the end of the day. And ladies and gentlemen, after 3 games, Dignitas is going to find their victory over Liquid 31 minutes in.
Sloppy early game. Looked like TL got too aggressive, but Dignitas' punish game was on point. And I do think that they definitely deserve this win here over TL. A lot of mistakes from TL in this game, and especially in this series.
There were. Both teams, especially after that start that was kind of all over the place, the level 1 that we saw around the red buff, it was like both these teams, are they going to go so hard this game just turns completely crazy? And for a while, it was very close. We saw the Team Liquid gold advantages while the Infernal Drakes were being taken by Dignitas early on. But like we discussed, when that gold graph showed up on the screen, it was the Baron at 23 minutes. It was the fight that led to that Baron that was the switch for Dignitas to turn on and make that game theirs.
It was definitely a slugfest here. You see, Golden Glue getting up, shaking hands. Took him a bit though, because it's a very, very shocking for TL, who expected to be higher in the standings. But Dignitas, they were down there in the standings, fighting for, like you said, 10th place at one point against Envy last week. And now it's been 3 matches in a row for Dignitas. They're hitting a stride here. Special back in seems to be doing work for them. very high KP in that game, 1-2 and 14, playing the Malzahar, playing the Zyra as well. So Dignitas now, that bottom lane didn't get completely rolled over this game, and they had to blow all summoner spells at the beginning of the game too.
Dignitas now 6-1 over the last 7 games. That is some serious upward momentum for these guys. Doing a good job, coming back into things. Like we mentioned earlier, this is week 5 of the LCS. So we're about at that halfway point, cresting over the middle. And we're going to be going into the back half of the season here once we're done with this week.
Hump week, yeah.
Yeah. So once we're done with that, it's going to be the part where we're closing in on, do you have the standings you need for playoffs? And this has been our story that we're talking about so far, but it's really important to highlight. Because if you're not going to playoffs, you're either going to relegations or you're going to sit home.
Yeah, and I think that, we're talking about playoffs a lot where it's, are you in playoffs? But the other question is, are you a playoff team? Can you perform in playoffs? Sure, getting to playoffs gets you some time to work on that. But in an ideal world, you're already a playoff team. You're working on it every week. You're improving. This week, I definitely think Dignitas, it's over for them. They are already 2-0 on the week. Their week 5 is done. They actually showed major improvement in communication, being on the same page, and playing relative to Someday. So they were actually doing a good job there. And I think like Keen playing to the bottom lane and getting a few kills in that early game to equalize it, if he doesn't show up, completely different look for that game. And I think that that's what really I take away from Dignitas is, you know what, they're climbing up the standings, but if their communication looks even better, if Chaser can start synergizing with the bottom lane a little more early game, that's how they'll start opening it up and start being a playoff team.
And we've been looking for consistency from the rest of the team, apart from Someday, for a long time from this squad, essentially since the split started. And with Keen stepping up like he did in these games today, that's what they need, for Keen to continue to dial that in that way. But for more on the Dignitas win, let's check in with Freak and the victorious AD carry.
Thank you very much. Great cast today. I'm here with Laud, Benjamin DeMonk. Are you the best AD carry in North America? Got to ask that real quick.
Yes, I am.
That's good. Okay, now Team Dignitas, 3 match wins in a row. Including a win over, of course, right here over Liquid. So talking about this transformation, Coach Kopp making you guys the best team in NA now, what's going on with that?
Dude, Kopp is the process himself, dude. He came in with 24 hours. We were able to 2-0 FlyQuest, and then 48 hours, and we lost the game to TL. So maybe it just gets worse with time. I'm not sure. We'll see. No, Kopp, no, he's really helpful to have around. He helped us in draft a lot, and it's been really good having him. So yeah.
And I got to see you guys in person here waiting for the interview to start. You guys seemed a lot more talkative than last week. Like, tell me sort of behind the scenes, like, it feels you guys are starting to have a lot better time as a team and gelling on stage.
Yeah, man, we were on like a huge loss streak and we were not doing too well. But we just had like a huge meeting between like all the players and we were like, all right, let's just like get our energy up, focus more, like let's bring it back, like we were like 9th place or something, dude. And like our roster is not a 9th place roster, dude. Like we could be like a top 3 roster. So I feel like we got things together, and maybe TL wasn't like the greatest opponent, but with beating FlyQuest and TL and then Envy last week, I feel like we're starting to pick things up and it's only going to get better.
I definitely agree. 3 match wins in a row. I want to ask you about changes in the bottom lane. You talked about the roster getting together. You've gone back and forth with Stunt and Xpecial. Talk to me about what that's about, first of all.
Well, I think Stunt's like actually an insanely good player. I think he needs like a little bit more time to like improve and like show up on stage a little bit more, but I'm happy to have him around. Xpecial, he's like a pretty seasoned veteran. He's been playing a long time, so he gives me a lot of confidence playing on stage because he doesn't really seem to get shooken up by anything, so it's nice to have around. But I like playing with both of them. They're both really good players.
And it seemed like those two are friendly amongst each other as well. For your match yesterday, I saw him hug after the game. Like, is that camaraderie going well also?
Yeah, everyone gets along. Like, there's no animosity about it. It's just like everyone wants us to improve, So the atmosphere is really good, and I'm happy. Yeah.
I'm glad to see things turning around. You guys starting to get some wins. Thank you very much for the interview. Congrats on the win. See you next week for hopefully 2 more match wins. Let's toss over to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Freak. Laud talking there about the fact that the Dignitas roster is not a 9th place roster. But for all intents and purposes, I think a lot of people would say that the Team Liquid roster is also not a 9th place roster, or at least it shouldn't be. And so when you look at this game, preseason expectations say that with a world champion Piglet on one side and the most talked about acquisition in Someday on the other, that this should be one of the best matchups we see all split.
Right, I mean, and it's so disappointing kind of as just a fan of quality League of Legends to kind of see what it's become, because you would think like, okay, this superstar top lane, they're going to try and play around him. Team Liquid's got this former world champion bot laner. We're going to see these 2 clash of styles. And it is a clash of styles, but it's more like TL makes a ton of mistakes and like ruins their own ability to carry, and Dignitas plays this really pulled back style, just hoping the other team throws. And it's not at all what you were hoping for coming into the season. And they don't play like what they should on paper. And it's just a little disappointing to see.
Now, to that effect, Dignitas still comes away with a 2-0 week. So that's a huge resurgence for them in the wake of how their season was going post week 1.
I think, okay, start of the season, they're like, okay, our identity is we work around someday. He 1v9s for us, cool. Realizes that they actually need to play like a team. And then so someday switches over to like playing tanks. And then they become a very reactive-based team. Like these last 2 series, they're really good at being able to take a bad initiation and turning it.
Right.
And so that's not the best thing you want in the team, but it's something, you know, you can work with it. Yes.
Right. I mean, if you looked at, what was it, like 3 weeks ago when they had that series versus Immortals where they just hung back and did nothing and just gave them the game, this is obviously, you know, a massive step.
Yeah, so maybe like obviously Cop can't do anything or enough in 48 hours, but maybe just a change of pace and finding this one way to work like leads them to finding how to play better League.
Right, this gives them the baseline for, okay, we've established a way of slowing the game down, playing with as few mistakes on our side as we can. Let the others make the mistakes. The next step would be creating plays and strategies that either force mistakes out of the enemy team or can just, you know, simply from a strategy aspect or a macro standpoint, outplay them.
Right, and I think you kind of see, at least they do have some plays that they try and go for, like the example being the level 1 where they're trying to steal the red buff. But once again, it kind of comes off the back, the really big benefit of it, of TL not being on the same page.
Right, yeah, just 2 minutes into the game, we have 2 kills going over to a Cassiopeia. Let's take a look at that because TL is putting themselves in a fairly large hole here.
This is a great position for Piglet to be in. Like, he's flanking them, he's got the great angle, they have to get out, and they're gonna lose this for sure. And the thing is, they know they're there. Why is Rise not collapsing before the Cassio? Rise shoves faster than Cassio. How can Cassio possibly collapse first unless they miscommunicate?
Right, the waves are positioned in the middle of the lane there mid. It would be one thing if Cassio was already under Rise's turret for whatever reason, but to your point, Scar, they were essentially evenly matched there. There's no excuse.
And the thing is, Rise is the ghost. Like, Cassio has the cleanse. Like, if you really need to, like, I'm sure you find some way to work your way out if you cut at the same time.
Right, and it's just, you are collapsing onto that red buff attempt because you're pretty sure you're there. You should communicate that to your mid laner. Your mid laner should start positioning to the bot side to maybe have to join or something, and nothing like that really happens on the side of TL.
All right, so Dignitas is the the beneficiary of a whole lot of Team Liquid mistakes. Let's go ahead and fast forward to 22 minutes into the game. A 4-for-1 in the top lane for Dignitas here. Let's take a look.
Right, it starts out with a pick on the Golden Glue.
Don't know why he's there.
Yeah, just overextended a little bit, and he goes down really early, but then this is that Team Liquid over-aggression that they're pretty
Right, that's fine. One person died.
Yeah,
back up.
One person dies. Let's go pick a 4v4 with their Cassiopeia collapsing. It's going to end up being a 4v5. It's just such a hard fight to win because they were not super ahead in the game at this point.
Yeah, and this is kind of that peculiarity in some of the Team Liquid shock line where once again you say, if they can rid themselves of these mistakes, having as mechanically skilled a player as Piglet, a guy who's as capable as he is of carrying games, you eliminate those mistakes, and then that strategy might actually work. But when you are making these, kind of run-in, 1-by-1 solo queue decisions to hand your leads back, an AD carry, particularly in this meta, is not going to get to a place where they can carry the game single-handedly.
No.
And the problem is, it's like, Piglet's not the consistent top-tier AD that you want. Like, you want Arrow. You want to be supporting Arrow, and Arrow can 1v5 for you. But Piglet's the type of guy who's like, he's always going to play aggro, and sometimes he just loses lane. Like, there should be no reason why he dies to Zyro and their bot lane gets like 0-3 before 8 minutes. I think that's like unacceptable for the level of the player that he like wants to be, and he's like shown he is capable of.
Yeah, player of the game going to a special this time around. We don't see it going to supports all that often, but he had a pretty stellar game.
Right, I mean, despite that kind of bad early start for TL, they actually did grab control of the game through the bot lane, kind of taking the turret really early. But then whenever TL tried to go group up for vision and move into the jungle, Especial was sitting in a brush already with a Malzahar ult. And he was able to get a lot of picks to stall the game out until that big play at the top side, which really blew the game open for Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, that's that veteran there who, has some idea of where the macro game is going to take Team Liquid and capitalizing on their mistakes. Now let's kind of pull ourselves back and recognize the 2-0 week that Dignitas had and where they might go from here. Once again, the expectation for this roster was that they would be a top 3 team at the outset of the season. So they've got a long way to climb to get there. But we've established a baseline, Skara. What's the next thing you want to see out of them?
That's a really strange question because every team kind of takes different steps,
Yep.
For the biggest thing is to make sure everyone's foundation is the same. Like, everyone's on the same page when it comes to like how to execute stuff, how to execute plays. At the moment, their foundation obviously isn't good. So building from that is like the coach's job to be able to work with the team to build. And it's really late to do that.
And I mean, for me personally, one of the biggest reasons I rated Dignitas so highly coming to the season was the fact that they were going to have Korean infrastructure. And we've seen how impactful an import coach can be, like Reaper. And then obviously there's been something not quite right there. Obviously you bring in Kopp in the middle of the season to replace the coaching staff. There has been a breakdown in the coaching staff. And like you said, it's their job to get the foundation right. So in that sense, Dignitas started at a deficit, and who knows what their potential really is if you're having to switch out coaching staffs halfway through the season.
So I think before expectations may have been a lot higher. At the moment, I have no expectations. I think they'd be lucky to make it into playoffs, and if playoffs should be their goal. Getting in, and however far they go from there is just up to them.
All right, but do you think that someday, because you mentioned at the beginning of the season, we're looking at someday carries. Then we're like, no, let's reorient to a team fight focus where we're putting him back on tanks. Okay, today we see him on Camille, and we're finding success there again with him on carries. Do you think, and I'm not saying that they have to have one prescribed way of winning, so, you know, feel free to say, no, they've got multiple ways, but is it best to have someday in a matchup similar to this where he could really run away with a game because you're not necessarily certain that Laud, for example, will put up a game like a Piglet on a carry champion would?
I think against Team Liquid in particular, I like that they didn't stick him on a tank. It felt like a lot of these games, TL's bot lane was actually kind of smashing Dignitas's, and if you end up with him just on a tank, you see those kind of games where he gets stuck out.
All right, well, there we go. Dignitas finishing their week out in 2-0 fashion. They'll be very happy about that. We've got more league action coming your way after the break. Team Envy take on a surging Echo Fox when we return. You won't want to miss it.